So, hello guys, back again, and this time with ban list ideas. Now, this is really what I think could go onto the ban list, as that is what every YouTuber is basically talking about at the moment, and really what needs to be hit and what needs to be brought back off the list, either limited, semi-limited, or banned completely outright. I've got a few suggestions here, and I'll really just discuss why I want them on there. Really, these aren't predictions, they're more my ideas, so yeah, let's get into it. So the first card is Card Destruction. Now, Card Destruction I think needs to be banned, basically because it's basically like a Dark Hole Heavy Storm for the hand, and that's a place where you don't want to hit. It's also such a plus for Dark Worlds, it's insane, and I think it just really needs to get hit. It's an incredible drawing card if you can use it, and not many decks can use it, but the ones that can use it effectively rape other decks with it. So I really think Card Destruction needs to get hit quite badly. The next card here is Monster Reborn. Now I think Monster Reborn just needs to get hit because even though we all love it really, and we all love drawing and top decking into it, it's just not a fair card. The ability to bring back a monster from your opponent's graveyard is the most unfair thing about it. I just think Monster Revive from the graveyard that easily and is just not good for the game. And I've really always wanted Monster Reborn to be on the list, so I really think Monster Reborn needs to get hit as well. The next card is Pot of Avarice. Now, Pot of Avarice I really want to get hit just because I think Pot of Greed is actually a fairer card than Pot of Avarice. Pot of Avarice, the ability to get 5 cards back into the deck to restart your deck is incredible, especially in Rabbit, but in every deck that can play this card. Pot of Greed, in my eyes, is fairer because it can be played in every deck. It's just an instant +1. This is add 5 cards and then get a +1. So I think Pot of Avarice is just really unfair for the decks it can be played with, and it restarts the game too easily. So I really think Pot of Avarice needs to get banned. Next is Gateway of the Six. Now basically Gateway of the Six needs to get banned just to stop the loop from occurring and stuff like that. But also, it just makes Six Samurais way too good when they get this off. Basically, Six Samurai players either want to get Shion out or play this card. That's their 2 options, and if they do one of these, then they're pretty solid for a little while. So, yeah, Gateway of 6 just needs to get banned. I know Six Samurais aren't doing amazingly well, but Gateway of the 6 is just too powerful a card. Next is BLS. Basically, BLS is just such an awesome card in light and dark decks, or any deck that plays either one of those. And it's so powerful, even though most decks that are going to do well now are decks that don't play lights or darks mainly, but it's just so powerful. The ability to banish and attack. I'd rather see Chaos Sorcerer put to 2, I haven't actually put it in this video, and this get banned than that, because it's a much fairer, I think that's much more fair, personally. So I think Battleluster Soldiers needs to get banned. Next is Sangan. I really think Sangan needs to get banned because so many cards rely on the on cards that have under 1500 attack. The ability to bring it out so easily with Tour Guide is insane, and the ability to search that key card because so many decks rely on those under 1500 attack point monsters. It's just too powerful at the moment. It's a bit like Witch of Black Forest was when it could search out Jinzo so easy. I think Sangan just needs to get banned personally because it gets those key cards that most decks want. Next is Macrocosm. Now this is limited section, so I want Macrocosm to be limited. I really think Macrocosm will probably get limited, or at least semi-limited in the ban list anyway. I personally want it limited. It just makes Macro Rabbits just too powerful, and so many decks rely on the graveyard now that having it free is just way too insane. And in any deck that really can use this card as well, if they play it, you're at a huge disadvantage, even with the spell destruction. So I really think Macrocosmos needs to go to 1. Next is Drag Down into the Grave. Drag Down into the Grave is just an incredible Dark World card. The ability to look into your opponent's hand and force a discard while they get to see your hand, but it doesn't really matter that they see your hand, is because they have to then discard and then you get pluses off that, is insane. It's so many pluses off this card, it's just too good, and I think it just needs to be limited. Banned is a bit harsh, I'd say, but limited, yes. Next is Windup Magician. Now, a lot of people say with Windups, you have to ban Pappy to stop the loop from occurring, and really Windups are a difficult thing to hit to keep them competitive. Basically, I think Windup Magician just to 1 would slow down the deck quite substantially, and it would just stop those quick summonings with sharks and stuff, and at 1 I think it could work. I really think 1 could work with the Windup deck. and still make it reasonably competitive. So yeah, I think Windup Magician should be at 1. Next is Mermail Abyss Lind. I really want Mermail Abyss Lind at 1, mainly because I don't really know Mermails, but I believe that Lind is, to be honest, one of the best cards in the deck, because it just brings out so many of their cards, and with Abyss Sphere it's so good. So at 1 I think it really could work. I think it would slow down the deck and still keep it competitive. I'm not really too sure. The next card I'm talking about is Genix Undyne as well at 1. Basically, I think putting these 2 cards at 1 would slow down the Mermail deck and keep it competitive, because Genix Undyne just gets those plays off when you send the Dragoons or any of them, basically Dragoons, and it gets your plays off. I'm not really too sure. Really comment in the section below about Mermails, guys, because I'm not too sure, but I'm thinking these 2 at 1 would hurt it enough for a new archetype, because I know Common Army don't like to hit new archetypes, but I think putting these at 1 would slow the deck down, but keep it pretty competitive still. Next is Rescue Rabbit. I really want Rescue Rabbit at 1 because everyone call it. Either people don't want people to touch Rescue Rabbit, or they're like ban it or limit it. I think it just needs to be limited. It would still make normals playable. It would still be able to add it into all decks. It would become a bit of staple in those decks. But with Ophion coming in the future and stuff, it's just going to be too powerful, basically, Rescue Rabbit. And I think at 1 it would just slow the decks and make Dino Rabbits, well, pretty much non-existent in a sense, but really slow. So yeah, now on to 2 semi-limited. I really think Rekindling just needs to be semi-limited as a pre-warning to when Lavals come out. I think 3 is just too good. I know they don't like to hit new archetypes, and this is a card very specific to fire monsters, which are very new at the moment, but at 2 I think that would be just a good option, because it would still let the archetypes flourish and be immensely powerful, basically, but at 2, at least it would slow them down very slightly, and that would be just good. Next is Dimensional Fissure. Macro at 1 and Dimensional Fissure at 2. I think that's really all macro player needs. If you've got those 3 cards, you're pretty good. Most people only play Dimensional Fissure at 2 anyway, but at 3, keeping it at 3 and then putting Macro to 1 basically means everyone will just start playing Dimensional Fissure, I think. So putting it to 2 just helps those macro players as well, but doesn't give them too much of an advantage. Okay, now Machina Fortress is a personal card that I think is so overpowered. The ability to discard itself, and the ability that if basically you destroy it anyway, if you destroy it by card effect or by battle, it gets an effect that harms you, is just too insane. It's a level 7, it can make Big Eye easily, it makes gadgets insane, and I hate the ability to discard itself. I just hate this card, but I think at 2 it's fair, because it keeps that boss monster key in that deck, and at 2 it's fair. Next is High Priestess of Prophecy. I just really want it at 2 because, again, I want a pre-warning any the Prophecy deck, really, because it's going to become insane. It's going to become what people call God tier. I don't think it'll be God tier, but I think it'll be pretty the top of tier 1. So I think putting High Priestess at 2 at least would just work. I think most people will probably play it at 2 anyway, but it's just a bit of a pre-warning because I think it would help, because some will play it at 3, and at 3 it's just incredible in that deck. Master Hyperion's next at 2. I think Master Hyperion just needs to go to 2, basically because I do like agents. I know they're very skillful. I think they are quite a skillful deck to play, even though they have got very easy plays that you know of, quite obviously with Venuses and stuff. But I think 2 just means that if you Solemn Warning or Bottomless Master Hyperion or something, you know you've got rid of 1 and they've already got 1 left. The ability when you get rid of 1 and then you know they've still got 2 left in that deck is just insane, and it can be brought out so easily. I think at 2 it would just hurt agents enough. Windup Shark really at 2 as well, because I think Windup Shark needs to go to 2 just because at 1 I think it would hinder the Windup deck as well, so it could go to 1 or 2. But I think Shark and Magician are 2 of the key cards in the Windup deck for getting those huge plays off. And at 2, I think it would still hinder the deck, but keep it really quite competitive still. Though it could go to 1. I can see Windup Shark going to 1 actually in the list anyway. Next is what I want coming off the ban list. That is Royal Oppression. I think Royal Oppression at 1 would just be a really good comeback, because so many decks rely on special summons, and you can't negate every special summon with Royal Oppression because it just costs too many life points. So just having it at 1, the ability to draw into it or side it in against these decks that use so many special summons, especially at wind-ups, you can just stop those key plays. I think Royal Oppression at 1 could work, and I think it would be alright for the game. Next is Pot of Greed. Now, I'll put the link to Mega Capital G's video about Pot of Greed. I did disagree with it at the beginning and then kind of thought about it, and then I can actually see Pot of Greed coming to 1. If you banned Pot of Avarice, I could see Pot of Greed coming to 1 because you've got rid of 2 key staples in decks, and even though I don't like staples, I think Pot of Greed at 1, it would basically speed the game up, because it's not really whoever draws into it first really helps, because you might not draw into good cards and stuff like that. I could just see Pot of Greed at 1 personally, guys, but it's not my main card to come off the list. Next is Mizuki. I think Mizuki could come to 2 just because I really want zombies to come back. I did like zombies, and Mizuki would just help zombie players basically, and I think it at 2 would help. 3 makes zombies possibly too overpowered. Not really overpowered, but it just gives them too much advantage to have 3. But at 2, I think it could really work and just help the zombie player. Next is my fun card to ban, and that is Mystical Shine Ball. Now, I think Mystical Shine Ball would just be a laugh, because I'd love to see a normal card on the ban list. It would be really funny, and I don't really know. There's plenty of normal cards you could hit, Vorse Raider for Fire's Fists and stuff, but I think Mystical Shine Ball would just be a laugh. Putting it at, I don't know, 2 or 1, I think 2 would just be quite good in a agent deck. I think it would slow it down slightly, and it would just be a laugh basically. This is just really a fun card, guys, that I would love to see on the ban list just because it would be a laugh. But yeah, that's my vanilla to go onto the ban list. So there is my ban list, guys. What I want brought back and what I want added onto it. I kind of thought through most of these cards, looked at a few ARG articles and stuff like that, and I think my selection isn't too bad, and I don't think it hurts the game. I don't know a lot about mermails, so the cards I've chosen, I kind of struggled thinking what to put on there, but I think that's alright. I put a few pre-warned cards like Rekindling and Priestess just to make some decks not too good. But yeah, guys, what do you think? Comment below with your suggestions to the ban list, what you think about my ideas. They're really just ideas. There's a few more cards I might want to edit around with, put on, change how much they're getting banned and stuff. This isn't really my final list, but yeah, this is my list at the moment. Tell me what you think below, guys. And as always, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and see you around, guys. Cheers!